days have you been at sea?
Oh my, we started May 25th, May 27th I think we got underway. And today is what, June 14th?
Oh, we're way off course.
Oh,
Just a second. We got to get back to sailing this boat.
So that makes for about 3 plus 14, wow, 17 days so far now. But not all of them have been at sea. We've been several days holed up waiting for gales to pass through and that kind of thing, or doing repairs for the engine and getting the fuel polished to make it clean so that the engine keeps running.
Did you notice a big difference between sailing in the ocean and sailing in Puget Sound?
There's no swells in Puget Sound. And that's the major difference. And out on the ocean, you usually get some good, stiff, dependable winds, it seems like. And in Puget Sound, it's, you know, a lot more fluky. The wind can come and go and vary from one minute to the next.
So you said 17 days?
I think about 17 days.
That's 17
either
days.
on the water or waiting to be on the water.
Wow. I remember, I think you thought back in the beginning that you might be able to do it in 11.
Well,
was that
yeah, if it's 1,100 miles, if you can make it 100 miles a day,
yeah.
take 11 days.
And that was without gale winds and without out gas issues.
Yeah, if everything went well.
Yeah.
And you know, 100 miles a day, that's 4 knots.
Yep. I was thinking about it before I flew up, sorry, that, you know, you're almost on schedule had you not had to wait out the wind.
Right.
And take care of that gas issue.
Yeah. Which was a kind of a result of the wind.
Yep.
Rough conditions. In fact, I went in and the mechanic fixed the engine, got it going, and he asked if we'd been in any rough conditions. And I said, well, yes we have. And what happens is that the roughness stirs up all the crud and stuff in the fuel tank, and then it gets sucked in and blocks filters and that kind of thing. So we took the boat in and had the fuel polished, where they pump the fuel out through some filters and back into the tank. They also, when they're putting it out, it's like a vacuum. They can move it around and scrape the bottom of the tank and pick up all the crud and get it out of there.
And that took about a day?
It only took about a couple hours to do it, but yeah, you got to stay there.
So one of the captain's duties is to check in with the boss.
I'm sorry, what, Beck?
Captain John, after charting our course.
Now I know where to go. Got a few waypoints, put them in, and we'll be there. A few waypoints to get us up to the crab-free area and turn into La Push. We should be there tomorrow morning. Ready to take over, put them in.
All right.
Do my job.
I'll relinquish my command. Hold it, I don't have command. I'm looking forward to those quesadillas. Captain's quesadillas.
Well, I don't know if I'll be looking forward to them. I don't know what's happening.
So you're doing what?
I'm entering some waypoints into the GPS unit so it can guide us to our destination.
Lets it sail at night so we know where we're going?
Well,
and sail during the day too and let us know where we're going.
It allows us to drive like this, with no hand on the wheel. We'll just go wherever we tell it to go, but we've got to make sure we tell it to go to the right spot.
Right.
The other day I put in a waypoint and I started going to it, and then I noticed that the waypoint was 30 miles inland. And I thought, well, that's not correct. That's a degree off in the longitude. So I tried to double check all of these.
John, you're on.
Just arriving in La Push. This will be our first stop since Newport.
Been a long 2 days.
A long 2 days. Maybe that's what that white.
We're leaving La
there.
Push. Yeah, that's what it looks like. It just wasn't working, or maybe it was turned off.
I didn't see it.
Yeah. We didn't line up with it
Maybe it's more of
properly.
a nighttime.
I think it was probably the navigator didn't let you get lined up on the way so you could see it.
Was that you?
That was me. Yeah, you took over after I botched it. So,
Halifax. It's customary to partake occasionally in the Drunken, which was a light flavored liqueur, basic potency, which originated in Middlesex, which we suppose is the reason for the song. That was an introduction by the Kingston Trio of the tune called The Unfortunate Spade.
So is the Kingston Trio one of your favorite old-time groups?
That was probably my first favorite band when I was a kid. They had Tom Dooley. That was probably their biggest, most famous hit.
Hang Down Your Head. Yeah.
Hang Down Your Head with Tom Dooley.
You know, your face is going to come out pretty dark in this video because of the light background. But, you know, this is the setting, right? Suppose you could turn this around.
Well, I don't know if it's any lighter or darker anywhere else.
Yeah, you know, that wouldn't help with it. I was thinking the dark back.
I know you movie moguls like this kind of weather. See all the overcast and no shadows.
That's true. No shadows was good. Yeah. So we're gonna put up here with a little bit of engine noise. Oh, you want to say something? Go ahead.
Yeah, don't try to fool me. I know what you guys do.
Okay. Yeah. So John, your epic journey, you've almost completed your successful relocation cruise.
Almost.
So,
Got all the way north. Now we just got to go a little bit east.
about how much farther do we have to go?
We've got maybe 100, 110 miles from here.
Yeah, not much.
So,
How many nautical miles have you gone?
well,
Figured that out.
I don't have all these numbers.
You
in
thought
my
you
head.
thought you had about 1,100 total.
Something like 1,100 from LA, so maybe we've got 1,000.
So you've got almost
behind us
1,000
now.
miles behind you. Wow. Tough miles.
Near 100 miles to go.
And they've all been tough miles, haven't they?
Not all of them.
Yeah.
I mean, they're either tough miles, motor sailing and pounded into the wind and waves, that kind of thing, and making 2 knots if you're lucky. Or it's been like this, where you can make 5 knots, but you're still just motoring. We had 2 really good sails. Once from Santa Cruz Island over to Ventura, when the engine wasn't running. And we sailed across Santa Barbara Channel. And the winds were probably 25 knots maybe. I just had partial jib out. And we were just flying and sailing down those waves.
That is pretty amazing that it was just a jib.
Well,
Yeah.
that's all you need.
That's all you have.
The more wind there is, the
Yeah.
less sail you need to keep going.
You were hoping for some wind today.
Always hoping for some wind.
Yeah. Make this anchor leg turn into a faster trip.
Well, maybe going down the street, there might be.
We can.
That's always a possibility. I look up at the top of the mast at the Windex up there, the wind indicator, and all I ever see is the tail right between the 2, right inside the V, which means the wind's coming from dead ahead. So anyway, we had that one good sail across Santa Barbara Channel, and that was an experience. Big rolling waves. You see some big waves coming from Ventura and surf down them. we reached a maximum of 11.9 knots. And it was kind of fun, but I don't know if I'd want to do it too much.
So 11.9 knots, and we're motoring along right now at
6.5 knots through the water, 4.7 knots over the ground. The difference being probably the current that's running.
you always have to either with it or
too. The current is pretty much south setting all the way up and down the coast. So
we are working against it all the way up. Yeah.
The other good sail was from Big Sur and Santa Cruz, the town of Santa Cruz.
Now were Mike and Mike with you, or Gary?
Gary was with me.
Gary is with you, definitely.
And we just had a good southwest wind, 15 knots maybe, and it was just a great sail right across Monterey Bay and into Santa Cruz. We got there about 8 p.m. and thought they were going to get fuel there, but they were all closed up, so we just spent the night. Got fuel in the morning, then took off again. Do some more motoring.
So you've had a couple crew members. You started out with Mike and Mike, then Gary got on, then John and Wade got on, and then I got on. So you've had, let's see, so you've had 5 crew? 2, 2, and 1. 2. Oh, I'm sorry, 6. 6, 2, 2, 1, and then myself. So, right? So six different crew.
Okay.
Mike and Mike got you.
Mike and Mike started off in LA.
Yeah.
And they were with me for the first harrowing couple days, being out there in that weather. And then we took the boat over to Ventura, then we got going and motor sailed all the way up to Port St. Louis, where they got off. They had to get back to their work. And my cousin Steve came up to visit and stayed overnight on the boat while I was there at Port St. Louis. He wanted to come and do the trip, but his back wasn't up for it, so at least he was able to come and visit for a while. And we got Gary on the train, so he took the train down to San Luis Obispo. Then we got on the boat there. Gary and I left and got up to did that good sail up to Santa Cruz. Then we motored up past San Francisco and Cape Mendocino eventually pulled into Eureka. Gale force winds were forecast for the next 4 days. And they've been very active, from what I can tell, the forecasts that they make. So we hid out there for 4 days. And then finally from there we got going again. And oh gosh, what was next? It's a fog. Where did Gary get off?
Gary got off in.
He got off in Newport.
No.
I mean.
No, Newport's where John and Wade got off. Gary got off in Coos Bay. Did I get that?
Yeah,
Coos Bay?
Coos Bay. Of course. Yeah, we got it in Coos Bay. And around midnight. And then Gary got off the next day. And caught the taxi to get the bus to take the train back to Seattle. And then John and Wade showed up there. They flew in and took the taxi down. And anyway, we got on board and we left Coos Bay. And then after an overnight run, we got up to Newport. And they left, and Bob joined us, and Bob's a good crew member so far. A couple of nights, and now we're up here, and one more night to go, and we're done.
So you sailed when you were motoring. It was all night long.
Yeah, we
every day.
We like either motor sail when there's some wind and it would help out, especially going into the wind. Or sometimes we just keep the mainsail up just for stability and have it ready in case we do get some wind. Just be motoring with that. So we've done our share of motoring. I'm pretty well accustomed to the sound of the engine. I think I can do without it for a while.
So sailing at night, is it okay?
Well, at night's a different story. You just can't see, for example, the floats for all the crab traps, and it's good to avoid those. You don't want to get tangled up in them. And so, they have like a free trap free zone that they have, like lanes coming up the coast that we can take advantage of. And I think there's just traps there. Also at night, it's good to have the radar on so you can see other boats or objects that might be nearby that you can't normally see. And at night, most boats, of course, are lit. And you want to be making sure you're not anywhere where you can take a chance of running aground or anything like that, of course. You can't judge distances at night very well at all, like for lights. There's no way you can do it. You got the angle, and you should know what the characteristics of the lights are, as far as the color, the way it flashes, that kind of thing, so you can identify them. GPS is great. It makes it all so easy. Maybe too much so where people depend on the GPS, they might be challenged if it should go bad.
So your GPS is a Garmin, and it's similar to what people would have in their car, and you can plot a course. You can map multiple waypoints.
In your car, you're going to put in the address, and then it'll take you there. Here, you're going to put in the coordinates of where you want to get to, latitude and longitude, and if it's a straight shot, then fine, you can go there. But oftentimes, you'll have to put in several just to get around islands or through channels or that kind of thing. Of course, it's no substitute for keeping a good eye out for things. Oh, I'm sorry, sir. I was following the GPS. Sorry, I ran into your phone.
What about the old trusty compass? Because you have a standard compass on board too.
Of course. Yeah, we got the compass and the GPS, kind of takes care of that as far as it shows you what direction you want to go to the next waypoint or whatever, and you can easily use that. And on the compass, and following the compass is probably easier if you're hand steering than trying to watch the GPS.
GPS has got lots of information in terms of the deviation from your plotted course, though, too, doesn't it?
Yeah, it's got all the information you can get for when you. All it does is know where it is at different times. But from that, it can, extract all the little information that's derived from that.
But you can tell if you're left or right of your plotted course. Even comes down, tells you how many feet you're off, or miles.
Right.
If you really get off course.
Right now we're 0.1 mile off to the left of the course, and that's no big deal. And I could correct and go back on course. Of course, I've been distracted here, and so I have an excuse.
An essential tool. Now you got your sextant out.
I got my sextant out yesterday.
Right? Yeah.
And I took a sight of the sun. And one of the simplest things is to take a sight at noontime. That is local noon, when the sun is highest in the sky. And you can look and see what the altitude is and do some simple calculations. find your latitude. Well, I didn't do it at noontime. It was a little bit later, but regardless, I found the altitude a couple of times at different times, and later I'll go back and do the calculations and compare and just see how well it was, see if it matches up with the GPS.
I always thought a sextant was for celestial navigation at night, primarily. But you can use it during the day too, obviously,
sure.
since it's
not necessarily at night. You know, you got the sun. The sun's great. You know, you can usually see it, and it's easy to identify. And so, yeah, that's useful. And then at night, in the middle of the night, it's tough because you don't have a horizon to see. So at twilight, either before or after, either before sunrise or after sunset, see the stars and still see the horizon at the same time and get some good readings.
So the old seafarers, they would have a compass and they'd have a sextant, and that's how they'd come across the ocean.
Yeah.
Is that right?
Oh, absolutely.
Wow.
And they can find their latitude easy enough with the sextant, but the big problem was longitude, because to find your longitude you need to know what time it is. You need to know accurate time. So that was why they had the big contest to develop an accurate clock that would be able to be used to see it. So I understand what they did, like the Polynesians and others too, would often, if they wanted to get somewhere, they would go down to the latitude of the place that they wanted to get to, and then turn east or west and just follow that latitude line until they ran into their destination. That way they wouldn't miss it if they were at the right latitude.
Interesting.
They just wouldn't know what day they get there.
Okay, we're looking back at Cape Flattery. And Captain John just brought us into the Strait of Juan de Fuca.
And we made it.
And we made it.
So of course,
We passed through that opening right there between the Cape and, what's the name of the island? Tatoosh Island. And there's a big shallow over there with some break rocks with the water breaking over. So
there's the one rock that we can see easily, but there's another rock that's
submerged,
just about at water level.
Right about the middle of the channel, so you have to be real careful coming through there.
Either one of which you want to
just take out the boat. So we're looking east down the Strait of Juan de Fuca now, and off to the port side is Vancouver Island, bumpy Vancouver Island. And I think I saw another ship about the size of this one coming in right over there. See it? Okay, maybe it's a little bit bigger. But thanks to Captain John, who monitored the radar and checked the charts and used his visual observations to guide us safely through.
use my senses and more.
So we are arriving just outside of Port Townsend. This is Point Wilson. Hey John, what's the name of this point right up here?
Point Hudson.
Point Hudson. And just beyond that, around the bend, is Port Townsend. And here's Captain. After a long journey.
After a long journey, El Viajero come to its new home port, Port Townsend.
Alright, we're looking around toward Port Townsend. And look how special, the ferry's coming in. And there's Captain John again.
Hi. We can welcome El Viajero to its new home port, Port Townsend. This trip has been a little bit long, and it certainly could not have been done without the help of a lot of people involved. The crew, and also all the crew's spouses have been just great, and I'd like to thank all of them. Crew, Mike, my brother Mike, and friend Mike, and Mike's wife Debbie were on for the first part, the challenging part, and Steve, even though he didn't put any miles in, he gave us some moral support, and I was really glad to have him come and visit down in Port St. Louis. My cousin Gary got on board there and was with me for quite a ways as far as Coos Bay. So he is a big, valuable help to make this all happen. And then John and Wade that got on there in Coos Bay, and thanks to John's wife Patty and Wade's wife, who I can't quite remember, but thank you. And they were on for over a day up to Newport, where Bob got on board. And thanks to Lisa for her help. And also in particular thanks to Becky for just helping to coordinate everything and really being a big part of making this all happen. So we're up here at Port Townsend, just about home, and Becky will be waiting for us. Craig's brother and I'm sorry, Bob's brother Craig and his wife Colleen will be waiting for us, and it'll be a good welcoming, I think.
We're talking yards now, not miles.
The berth, huh? Give me a wave.
Penny!
Hey, Penny! Oops.
Oh, way to go! Oh man, you're ripping out.
Oh no! Sorry, John. Did you need that page? It's just the index, right? Yeah, sorry about that.
I was just remembering a story about I was coming into Canada on my dad's boat. He had our cruiser kind of boat, and I was up on the bow. We were just coming into the dock, and so the guy on the dock was there, and he handed me the line so I could put it on the cleat. So okay, and I got it, and he said, "Make it fast." So I did that really fast, and not until a bit later did I understand what he meant.
Is that a Canadian term or a nautical term?
No, I think
To make something fast.
It's a common term, but I think Canadians do use it more than we do.
That's fun.
Make it fast to the cleat.
So you worked on your speed after that?
Yeah, I didn't want to.
Timed every knot you tied.
Yeah, I didn't want to embarrass myself going too slow.
That's fine.